Hi, welcome to ORI, and my name is Alan Handelsman. It's good to be with you. I want to thank everybody at the Ozark Research Institute for inviting me to talk a little bit. My topic tonight is is no, that's not, improving your memory. No, that's not it. I decided on how to be organized. How to be organized. That's right. No, actually, my topic today is the universe explained. The entire universe explained. Part one. You may ask, how many parts are there going to be? Well, that's one of the secrets and mysteries of the universe I haven't quite worked out yet. So we're just going to get a good start on explaining the unexplainable and how some thoughts that I have and some ideas that I have may help you make sense out of things that don't make sense for you right now, and also give you more options in how to live your life. So many years ago, I realized that everything that I learned or read, I would begin to, because of my own trust issues, I would begin to check them out. And it turned out that in many, many instances, I found that the opposite of what I learned or read or found out was true, instead of what I learned or in addition to what I learned. So I began to see that not everything is 0 and 100. And my original law of opposites was that whatever you learn, whatever you know, whatever you find out, investigate the possibility that the opposite is also true or true instead of what you learned. I've refined that over the years, and the modestly titled Handelsman's Law of Opposites is now everything is its opposite, or everything contains its opposite. So that explains a lot of the mysteries about how something can seem one way and turn out another way. For instance, water itself, okay, very basic commodity. And if you wash your hair and you use some shampoo, if you want more lather, you add water and you get more lather. If you want no lather, if you want to wash it all out, you add water. So does water help you get more lather or wash away the lather? Well, the answer is yes. And it does the opposite thing. So if somebody tells you water helps you get more shampoo lather, they're right. If they say water helps you get no lather anymore or lessen the amount of lather, they're also right. So two things can be true. And that brings in the concept of not true or untrue, but balance. So we begin to ask different questions. How much water? And we find out that water can do a lot more than either or. And a lot of life becomes a question of balance rather than a question of right or wrong, or true or untrue. Another idea, if you want any evidence that you need the opposite to complete whatever it is that you're doing, do this for me. Take a deep breath and hold it. Good. Now take another deep breath and hold it. And take another deep breath and hold it. And you can't take 3 deep breaths in without breathing out. Or some of you may do that, but you can't take breaths in for very long without breathing out. So breathing in implies and contains breathing out. And breathing out means that you're going to be breathing back in. And there's no way, and that will hold true for the rest of your life. When you stop breathing, things change. But until then, breathing has two parts, in and out. So we think of balance. What does breathing in mean? What does breathing out mean? And that's the topic for a whole other talk. And maybe that's what I'll do next time in part 2 of explaining the universe. Nothing is entirely good or entirely bad. It sure seems that way sometimes. But I found that depends on how you look at it. Okay. And things can appear absolutely wonderful, and there's prices that we pay. Things can seem miserable, but we can derive benefit from them. I probably wouldn't be able to talk to you right now if the things that we've labeled bad hadn't happened. So to me, again, it's a question of balance, and it's more a question of how do we use them? How do we use the events that we label good or bad? How do we experience the people that we label good or bad, or our efforts our own efforts that we label good or bad? Again, a question of balance. Not all good, never all good, and never all bad. So we can learn from everything, and we know about all of that. Another thing that's very that I found over and over again when I work with people in the office or the virtual office now is a lot of people have feelings of unworthiness, inadequacy, low self-confidence, low self-esteem, things like that. And not that everybody is a mess, of course not, but we all have feelings of those types sometimes, maybe most of the time. So we doubt ourselves, we question ourselves, we doubt our self-worth and our efficacy. And when we find parts of ourselves that are holding these quote unquote negative feelings, we think that if we meet that part of us, that it's a part that feels very bad about us and wants nothing good for us. What I found is that if you have feelings of low self-esteem or low self-confidence in particular areas, if we find the part who's holding that part is causing you discomfort and pain. It hurts to feel that way. But I believe that if we really believed that we weren't good enough, that we wouldn't hurt so much when we feel not good enough. So the part of us that's holding low self-esteem would say, well, of course you feel that way. That's no big deal. But the part who's holding high self-esteem for us is the part that says, this is wrong. You deserve better. You deserve more. And it hurts because we know we deserve it. So when we find the part who's holding low self-esteem, that part is also holding high self-esteem. That's why it's okay to look at anything, because we don't have to judge it. We can accept it as it is and then go from there and experience it differently. Rather than saying, I want all of this and none of this, we can say, how do we mix and match? How do we use the feelings that we have? The subject of control is very near and dear to my heart. And the options of taking control, you can double those. Because I'm going to give you an example so that it makes it understandable. We could talk about the theory forever, but let's say you're going on a trip and you're carrying 2 suitcases that you've packed at home to take with you on your trip. Now, if you're walking through the airport or walking to the car, you're holding these suitcases and you're holding them tight. And to control them, to make sure that you don't drop them, nobody takes them, they don't open accidentally, you hold them very tight. So control comes from strength and holding on tight. But once you check into the hotel and you carry the bags up to your room and you put them on the stand or on the bed. If you don't let go, you have no control over anything anymore. Those suitcases are now controlling you until you let go. So getting control means squeezing harder. And getting control also means letting go, because if you let go of the handles of the suitcase, you can open the suitcase and use anything that you've packed. So now, if you think of control rather, instead of in terms of power and strength, and you think of control in terms of balance and flexibility and what's appropriate at the time, you have more options. You'll have more control more of the time. And that's really cool. So that's how things can be the opposite of what we may think, or the opposite of the very same thing. Control doesn't mean one thing. So let me show you a couple of ways that you can double your technique. So if you have meditation techniques or healing techniques or just living techniques, you can double it by doing the opposite. As a professional flute player, being able to move my fingers with a lot of dexterity was very, very important. And one time, many years ago, when I was having trouble moving my fingers, one of them would actually get stuck. One day, I just said, I'm going to let my fingers be like bricks, be very heavy, and I'm not even going to try to move them. And what happened was that all the fingers started to move much more easily. Even the finger that got stuck wasn't getting stuck anymore. So for a couple of days, I played and played and played and played all through the music that I had. And I could play better. My fingers moved better. And then I said to myself, well, if my fingers can move well when they're heavy, I wonder what will happen if I make them light. Do the exact opposite. And I did. And I played even better. So I made two giant steps in my technical abilities by doing one thing and then doing the opposite. So anytime anybody tells you that this is the way to do it, investigate the possibility that you can do it the opposite. Sometimes I embrace the issue that I'm working on, whatever that is. And sometimes I get rid of it. And the art is knowing which is which, or being able to switch back and forth when the time is appropriate. So I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, and we're going to do a very, very short meditation if you want, or you can just listen and get the idea. You can do this meditation for 10, 20, 30 minutes or a couple hours. And we're just going to spend a couple of minutes right now just to get the idea. It's so simple that you just need a couple minutes of instruction, and then you're close to being an expert. If you have any questions about this, about the experience that you have or how to use the experience, if we were together at ORI in Arkansas, then I would spend an hour teaching this class. So I'm willing to talk with you for, well, if this is 20 minutes, I can talk to you for at least 40 minutes and answer your questions. You can call me, or you can text me, or you can email me. You should see all that information somewhere during this 20 minutes. I hope that that happens. And if not, you can contact ORI and ask for my information. And I know if you see my AOL address, you may think that that's old-fashioned, but I prefer to think of it as retro chic. So it still works, and you're more than welcome to ask me questions. So now, close your eyes. And the first part of this meditation is simply to breathe out. And as you breathe out, and of course you're going to breathe in between, You know that from paying close attention to what I was saying before. As you breathe out, let your molecules expand. Let your whole body expand and put more space in between the molecules and let them float all the way, maybe to the end of the universe. Some further away, some closer. Expansion. So you feel a part of the universe. Your molecules are now interacting with the molecules in space, in the atmosphere, on the earth. And you may notice this sense of expansion. Well, you can notice many things. So see how you react to that. I find it cleansing. I find it relaxing. I find that it gives me a different way of experiencing my own body. And then bring the molecules back. Maybe not all of them. Some of them love to be free. You can let those go. There are molecules in your body now that are no longer necessary, that they're not doing you as much good as they used to. So let them go. And there may be other molecules that you can bring in from the universe that may help you. Maybe it'll help you keep that feeling of something different, something new, something enjoyable, maybe something profound. And bring them in as you breathe in and breathe out. And that's a wonderful technique. But you can also do the opposite, which is breathing in and out, and breathing in and contracting the molecules in your body. And when there's no more room for all of them, they just become little points of light until they come together, and they're all points of light. One point of light together, and you become one small infinitesimal point of light in the universe. Maybe point of life too. Maybe that is the point of life. And see how you experience your body as an infinitesimally small, microscopic point of light. And then breathe in and out a couple of times. I'm going to count to 3. On the count of 3, let your eyes open. 1, 2, 3. And there you go. So now, instead of one meditation technique, expanding molecules, now you have 2. You can contract. And sometimes one will work, sometimes the other, sometimes neither, and sometimes both. So it doesn't matter. In the beginning, it only takes a few minutes to find out. So enjoy that. See the other side of everything that you notice or learn or read. And you may find that not only may things become more acceptable, but it's necessary. And that little part of the universe is now less of a mystery than it was before. I hope so. Thanks again to Ozark Research Institute, and thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.